Oh my God.
Oh, that's offsides now. We can't do
we?
that anymore. I know. It's fucking annoying.
Canceled. Yeah, do the guy in the bucket hat and see what happens.
Jesus Christ. That's fucking hard. It's, God, like, is he out of jail yet?
I think currently.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be going on tour.
Bill Cosby?
Or he's supposed to do a show at least, yeah. Yeah.
I'm making that meme face.
We should look out. Let's see. Bill Cosby live. Let's see if he's playing anywhere. And he plans a comedy tour in 2023 after prison release in the summer. But I think he just got busted again.
Jeez.
Boy, it's so hard to keep it all. Let's check Ticketmaster, our friendly ticket source for concerts. Sorry, there are no upcoming events. So, no, that tour did not happen.
Okay. Is it okay that I have kind of a fuck that guy attitude about that?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so here's where I stand on Bill Cosby. I'm fine with the previous shit. I don't think we cancel the art for the artist necessarily, but I do think that we cancel the future art once we know who the artist is. You know what I mean? Like I can listen to an old R. Kelly song. I can't actually, but like I could see how somebody could, but not one that came out now. Yeah, right? Like that would make no sense.
I have that same. Every now and then I sing just out of reflex, sing a line of one of his songs, and then I fucking go, oh! I just get grossed out by the whole idea.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like exactly the case.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. What?
I know he's brilliant. I know he's funny. I have loved a lot of his stuff, but now I know who he is, and I'm having a very difficult time going to see him or watching anything he does from that point forward. I know.
So did you not see the last one?
No, I did not.
Madison Square Garden, or there was a live one at Madison Square Garden, and then they shot another one that just came out.
That was after he was busted for jerking off.
This was like 2 months ago.
Kind of a pervert. Jesus.
This is the culmination of the comeback. Welcome to 2 Shots and a Royalty Check, brought to you by Venmo, Your Money, Your Move, and Liquid Death, Murder Your Thirst. Let's get back into it.
Well, that's an unfortunate term. But that's a horrible joke. I have a hard time. I have a difficult time with that. I really do.
For better or worse, I put Louis C.K. in a different category. Okay. I put him in the sort of very naughty boy category.
Okay.
The shit that he did was not an act of violence.
It wasn't Bill Cosby.
It wasn't. So it's not that it was acceptable in every case, but apparently it was very acceptable in a lot of the cases and very known.
Yeah.
And that was his kink. That's his thing. He makes a joke about it. You know, God forbid everyone finds out what your thing is. Because everyone knows what mine is. Yeah. But I think the big issue with Louis C.K. really came down to whether or not there were younger comedians who felt like he was in a position of power doing that. They didn't feel like they could say no or leave. Even though they were asked and they did have a chance to say no or yes. And in this case, just knowing the comedy world a little bit more, like he's not your boss. And like, just because he's a famous comedian doesn't mean he can do a goddamn thing for you. That's not the way the comedy works. Yeah. Like you still are going to have to prove it to the booker, to the club, to the manager, to the whatever, to get to a headliner, to a feature from an opener. And so it's a little bit different where they're sort of putting this boss thing on him. He didn't do it at his TV shows. He didn't do it in the things where he was a director or writing. This was in a comedy club kind of, environment. And I don't pretend to know everything about it, but I do know that he also directly went and apologized to a few of the people who did publicly come out and say, I felt very uncomfortable and I felt that was wrong. Now that is different than saying I felt like a crime happened to me and I was violated. Like, I do think that there is some of maybe, and this is my Gen X shining through, is there is a big difference between you felt uncomfortable and you were attacked. There's a huge difference there. that doesn't mean that you feeling uncomfortable should be thrown away, but it also shouldn't rise to the same level as Bill Cosby drugging someone and finger fucking them in a hotel room while they're passed out. Like, that's a different thing. And all of these are different. The Aziz Ansari one is different. All of them are kind of different. But in the Louis C.K. one, I just put him in a different category about like naughty boy. That's a naughty boy thing to do. And he rightfully had to pay his time and like kind of got fucked over out of it. But I don't agree with the idea that and I do know a few female comedians who have talked about it this way. They're like, he should never work again. Really? Like, there's a lot of comedians who have done a lot of nasty shit to other comedians, been high, been drunk, done some horrible things. Yeah. And you're not going to say the same thing about them. But this kind of Me Too feeling of like, no, take away that man's livelihood forever. Never get a chance for, whatever, for coming back.
Redemption.
But yeah, I'm just saying that, like, so that's where I stand on. Where do you stand on it?
I still have a challenging time with it. I do also agree that there has to be a capacity for forgiveness and growth. And the issue is mine. I know this issue is mine, the issue that I'm having here. It's like, I have a kind of a hard time listening to somebody about this stuff. It's the same. I have the Joss Whedon issue too. Because it turns out that he can be kind of a verbally abusive and physically abusive prickface. Man was a nerd king, like it's a similar thing for me, and it taints future entertainment for me from those people. And the other side of the coin is I don't have to listen to it. There's so much other shit going on. I don't have to. Right. But so if I feel like I'm having a challenging time with it, I can go, okay. That's okay. Move on to the other thing, and there's something else. But yeah, I was just curious about that stuff because
I felt better once he made amends to those people. I think there's still an issue with Sarah Silverman, which concerns me because she is a straight shooter. Yeah. And I think that she didn't like the way the apology came to her and all that. And again, like, to me, this is like a whole lot of personal social dynamics between people that are not me and people that are not fans. And I mean, like, we see this in the music industry a lot. Okay, so a great example of, like, if you see, like, what was the one with Simon, or with Simmons, with J.K. Simmons? The one where...
Whiplash.
Whiplash, okay.
Yeah.
So, verbally abusive, bordering on physically abusive, throwing shit at people, scary, right? Like in this movie. I absolutely had a conductor who was like that.
Yeah.
Got the best out of us.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm also from an age to where, football coaches would not allow you to drink water. I'm also from an age where, teachers would throw shit at you if you were talking and acting up. And you kind of felt like, well, I kind of had it coming. I wasn't paying attention. And so, I don't think it should always be that way. But I also do think that in arts, and this goes to the Joss Whedon thing. I mean, when you hear this about Ellen DeGeneres, Joss Whedon, Justin Roiland, some of the people in Hollywood that run a set that is, not flowery, not nice, not respectful of everyone's feelings all the time. They also get great work out of people. And sometimes people need that. And I'm not saying that's the right way to go about it. I really am not. Like, I don't think you should have to be verbally abusive. And I think that some of these people, they need to get their own therapy to learn how to better communicate, right? They need to get their own therapy to learn, why are you blowing up at other people? Because that's not good. But I do still fall on the side of, again, someone blowing up at you is not an assault. You feel uncomfortable. That doesn't mean it's right. They weren't right to do it, but you weren't assaulted. I'm sorry. You feel bad. You feel bad. You don't like that person. You don't want to work with them. And that can put you in a tough professional position, and that's where the law comes in, right? That's where it comes into, I don't feel safe enough at my job or at my workplace. And that's where I completely agree with this stuff, where I think that you should have the right to do that as well. You should have the right to fight back.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what was always missing when I was coming up, is that you certainly couldn't fight back against it and be like, they were mean to me, because that's the way it would sound to everyone. They were mean to me. And now you can say, this is my workplace. That made me feel uncomfortable. I don't feel I can do my job because of the way this person treats me and others around me. And that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a strong statement. And those are basically the same statements, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
So that's kind of where I but the last Louis C.K. special was funny as hell. Yeah. There's a whole lot of religion stuff on it that I dig. And as a writer, I also take the jacking off stuff away from it. Oh, did I give it up? That's what he did. But take that away from Louis C.K. stuff, okay? There's a lesson from Louis C.K. for every musician listening to this.
Okay.
He took control of everything. You want something from Louis C.K., you go to louisck.com. You want every show he's ever done, every special he's done. You want to buy a record. You want to buy merch. You want to join a place where you can get like streaming for 5 years, but own it and have a digital download. It is impressive, the operation that he has built. It is absolutely seriously impressive. He doesn't need Netflix. He doesn't need Hulu. He doesn't need anybody to buy anything from him. And yet he did that 4th of July movie just recently that did go out to major theaters, and then he pulled it right back on his website. And like everything flows through his website. He has an email list that he personally emails. You can tell it's his personal writing because he is snarky as fuck on it. And like you really feel like you have that sort of one-on-one connection about the art. And he will just talk about the art. He doesn't talk about all the other stuff to you in his email. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't make any narratives. He's just like, this is the work I did, if you're interested. And it's a very fair price. I think the last special was $20. I think it was $10 for the stream. I think you can get like a streaming deal for like all of the Louis special or the Louis show that was on FX. He was able to get that back from Disney, I believe.
Wow.
So, I mean, there is whatever.
It's probably a little easier to get that after some things happened.
Yeah. Well, and whatever he's losing out there in the general sphere, he is gaining it by having a one-to-one connection with the people who are like, hey, man, I just find you funny. I just want to watch the jokes. I just like the show. I like the work you produce.
Now, this kind of goes against some information you may have unloaded on a previous podcast with regards to direct marketing for artists, for musical artists, because like what Louis has built with regards to his reach for all the people and, limiting where you can get his content, there's a demand there that he is able to feed directly to those people. So like the question for me is always going to be like, okay, so how do we as artists utilize a similar approach, especially with regards to some of the, Spotify news that's come out over the last few weeks?
Well, so it's kind of a different situation with a very independent artists, right?
Yeah.
You are still building audience and fan bases. So don't come talk to me until you have an email list of 10,000 people. Like, I mean, that's where it starts. Okay. But when you're talking about like someone like Louis C.K. or some, Dane Cook did this as well for a while. There are plenty of people who've been able to do this dance and go very direct. It's kind of like they were previously signed acts. It's like, they built a fan base of millions based on HBO and Comedy Central and FX and FX show. So you get that dynamic like audience reach where you can find your real audience. It's how do you convert them and pull them off. And so when I talk about it with independent artists, that's why I say you do need to be on streaming, because you're not going to find those 500 million people that have a music app in their hand anywhere else. Yeah. Like you're not going to build it. So like how do they listen to how do you find those 500 million people and your little slice of that pie? How do you find your audience? And so that's why you do have to play the streaming game to get those fans. It's just you got to build that funnel and somehow save something for them directly with you. Those are going to be super fans. They aren't people that just listen to your music to work out. It's going to be people that find meaning in something, meaning in your songs, meaning in your albums, whatever. And so that's why you have to play, it's the Sean Connery thing. You got to play both sides.
Play both sides.
Both sides.
Yes, both sides.
But, it's worth keeping that funnel open. And so when I say funnel, what I mean is that, like, yes, having a website and an email list and a text list is still very important. Yeah. But it's no different than any of the other social media in my mind. You still have to give away joy. And you may also have to give away a little bit more than joy to do that. And that may be a specialized download. It may be a specialized video. It may be a book of you writing about your lyrics, something like that is something you can't get anywhere else, and that's why I would give you my email.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, how important it is to have that touch point and that direct connection with somebody. Even if it isn't a lifelong thing, but just having that moment of connection with somebody, whether they bond over your music and then they bond with you as a person. Like when you're spreading that joy, people are learning to love you, not just your art. So that's why, it's important. We talked about social media as well, not just being about your music and your art. It should also be about what do you stand for, who you are, and what you're about, so that people can vibe with you and love you, so that when you do have art to, wares to sling, there's already a connection with you that people are willing to invest in, and you should be willing to invest back.
And you also, yes, it's a vibe check, but it's also a values check. The more that you talk about things that aren't just your music to build a fan base, you kind of get an idea of like, oh, that person kind of shares the same values as I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people. Here's some great examples that we should bring up. So we talked about Scott Ewell before, right? So he has now built up a 50,000 subscriber base on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's not based on his music. He is a musician. He's talking about music stuff, but he's trying to solve your problem about your wireless microphone, whether or not you should use tracks on stage. Don't enter contests online, that kind of stuff. So he's building that up. Same thing with like Mary Spender. Mary Spender, very big YouTube artist from the UK. She's a guitarist, songwriter, producer. She's built up a huge YouTube following. She does like classes on Ableton. She does, little things on different kinds of songwriting, different kinds of guitar playing. And now she's able to offer her debut CD for pre-order direct to her fans. She just did a video about why it's not going to be on Spotify. That's because she has 100,000 listeners somewhere to get this message across, and she's making the bet that 1,000 to 3,000 of those people, by the way, also an awesome Patreon, but she's making the bet that 1,000 to 3,000 of those people will pre-order her CD for $35, and she's golden. And then you're off and running. You've got a direct connection to somebody. As long as you hold up your end of the bargain for the music, But I make this case all the time to independents. You need to understand that a lot of people that buy shit from you, whether it's at your merch table, a hat, underwear, a CD, whatever it is, a lot of times all it is just a vote for you. They know the CD it's not worth $35 whether or not you sign it. They want to help you, but you got to give them something in return for it. And they know that's not the best t-shirt they're going to buy for $50. They know that. Yeah. But it's a vote for you. And that has something to do with psychology about, like we were talking about, somebody that shares values, and the vibe check with you is that I dig this person. They've put in the work. They're giving me joy. And at this point, I feel like I deserve to throw them some cash or something.
Yeah.
And so send me back that trinket. Send me back that thing to touch. Yeah. So we talk about these things with independent artists, but you can't do this if you have 100 listeners.
Yeah.
You can't do this if you're just starting out, if you've only played a few shows, if you've only been around a few years and you haven't built a fan base and you haven't paid attention to this. Like, you're going to have to do it another way. You've got to find those 10,000, 50,000 people that see you or can see you. And from there, you can absolutely sell direct.
Yeah. Fantastic. That was well played, sir.
Yes, I think so. Hey, what are you doing this Friday?
This Friday, Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day, so wear a Hawaiian shirt
if you'd
and jeans if you'd like. I am. What am I doing on Friday? I'm probably working, playing a show.
Yeah, I got invited to go to a show.
Yeah,
and I can't because I'm in the middle of a waterfall release.
Oh. That's right.
And it's not only Friday that's screwy. It's actually
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's do this. Let's get into it. So I'm on a release right now. I'm in the middle of it on a waterfall release. You can look for waterfall release on previous things or check out 2ShotsMusicPod.com to find out what the hell that means. But it's basically multiple songs in an album that come out as a single each. And I was realizing I was going through my release checklist. I have a huge release checklist. Yeah. And I know you've seen me post about this on certain platforms about it pisses me off when I see a song come out and the artist isn't there. The artist isn't talking to anyone. The artist isn't like it came out. Like, so, okay, if your song's coming out on Friday, Stu, what time does that song come out?
It comes out at 12:01 Eastern Time, Friday morning, late Thursday night.
Midnight Thursday night. That's right. And so, like, in my world, that means I'm working at 10 o'clock on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, actually, tonight, this is being recorded on a Thursday. So, I will be working at 9:30 until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll be going at about, like, 8 or 9 a.m., And why is that? Well, that's because it starts rolling out across the world. You start seeing 221 countries taking it up on Spotify. The video is coming out on YouTube. All of that sort of thing. So I thought this was a good opportunity to really quickly run down what a real release looks like. Yes. Because I'm seeing too many independent artists do this wrong, and it pisses me off every time. This has nothing to do with marketing. By the way, nothing. Nothing to do with promotion. This isn't about getting fans. This is the bare fucking minimum. Look for the bare fucking minimums that you got to do to release a song. So this
we're professional songwriters, everyone.
Whatever. He added a rhythmic beat in there.
Yeah,
I hope you know.
Fuck you, man.
That didn't rhyme with necessities.
What's going on?
I mean the bare minimums. Okay, so let's just, I'll run through it. This is going to be a free thing that we'll have on the website. So there'll be a link. If you're listening to this, click on the link and you can get it. We're not even going to charge you because why? We give away joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Okay, so
I knew
first
a
of
woman
all,
named Joy, and I gave her away a few times.
Yes, I love joy. Hand joy. What? By the way, that's kind of a good name for a band, Hand Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole lot of clapping and stomping.
Yeah, Hand Joy. Anyway, it doesn't roll off the tongue well, though.
It doesn't roll off
It sounds dirty.
It does sound dirty.
It absolutely sounds dirty.
I almost said foot. I said foot joy, but then I realized that is indeed dirty.
They're going on tour. Yes, there's an OnlyFans for that.
Like, people are like, get to the fucking plan, you fucking wankers.
No, don't get to the plan. Who cares? Let's talk about hand jobs.
Let's talk about foot joy.
When you're sitting there, no, I'm just kidding.
Are you a lefty or a righty?
Is this made for kids? No. So you write the song, you record the song, you've mixed and mastered the song, you've mixed it, right? You sent it to a professional mixer, right? You did that. Okay, good. So now what you need to do is you need to go to your PRO, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. You're not on GMR, I know. But you need to go to your PRO and you got to list your song. Register your song on your PRO because you're going to need that ISWC code. If you don't know what any of those things mean, get the fuck out of my industry. Get the fuck out of my industry if you don't know what those mean. You're a hobbyist. Okay. Here's what you need. So you have the song.
He's kidding, folks. He's kidding, folks. Please
You're
stay in the
working
boat.
with a group. This is the folder that you need to have. By the way, Stu and I have done this exact thing with clients. So here we go. You got to have the wave file. You got to have the lyric file. By the way, in the lyric file, you know what I don't want to see? A flat, B minor. Here's the instrumental section.
Just
I also don't want to see commas or periods or anything at the end of lines. We're just trying to copy and paste your lyrics, okay? That's all we're looking for. That's in the lyric file. Then the credits file. Let me make a note about a credits file. When you list who the bass player was, who the drummer was, whoever, whatever on each song was, don't assume that everyone that's looking at that file doesn't know their full fucking name. Don't just say John on drums because I know who that was. What I want you to do is put their whole name because I'm copying and pasting things, or maybe there's another team doing that, and maybe she doesn't know who John is playing drums. So that's a credit file. Also, producers, co-producers, mixers, that's also part of the credits. We make sure to put all the credits on wherever we upload for distro. Okay, then you need a 3,000 by 3,000 square cover art, JPEG or PNG, please, thank you. Then you need a YouTube video thumbnail, 1280 by 720. That's going to be a 16 by 9 ratio. Then you need 2 to 3 30-second snippets. Those need to be with MP3s. Then you need 2 8-second snippets. That's for your Spotify canvas, 3 to 8 seconds long. That's going to be vertical, 9:16 ratio. Then you need to have your toned in, hyped it, Comey, lay low, pre-drop link. So make sure you've already populated that. Then you got to do your YouTube prep. You want to change your descriptions, 3 hashtags, your header, have a video cover, load the video as a premiere. That video's premiere is going to come out at your local time of midnight, right? Or it's going to come out Eastern midnight.
East Coast time.
Then it's your local time. So whatever that is. So like right tonight, my client that has a song coming out, it's coming out midnight on the East Coast. It's 10 o'clock here in Denver.
Yep.
As a premiere, what that means is that it opens up a chat window. It also hits everyone that's a subscriber on YouTube that goes, hey, this video's coming out later. So it kicks out through all of the millions of videos that YouTube could show them and goes, by the way, this is happening tonight. Has a big little red button there. Premiere. It's very nice. Facebook prep, you want to do your description and your header. Same thing. Instagram prep, description, super link, and your header. Remember how we did the toned in, hyped edit, Comey, lay low, pre-drop? That's right. By the way, a lot of people aren't going to know what the fuck Comey and Laylow are. Comey is another pre-save kind of thing. Laylow is a pre-drop system. Laylow is very cool. Take a look at it. But basically, we already talked about pre-saves. You can look at pre-saves on YouTube and find out or look at a previous podcast about that.
There's a quick shot about it.
This is different. You put in your phone number or email, and it just reaches out and goes, hey, by the way, this shit's out now. Go get it. So... then, only then, do you want to load to distro. So now you're loading to distro with that WAV file. You load those credits. You load those lyrics. You go to Bandcamp. You upload that song. You do the lyrics. You do the credits. You create 2 playlists on Spotify to make your song the top of this playlist. You do a cover on Spotify that is a square that is at least 1,000 by 1,000. Make sure that the color pops and matches your album. Then you do... match, if possible, 2 playlists on YouTube where you match all the Spotify stuff. Then you want to release at midnight Eastern. And this is where we start working. You already
midnight
have the
Eastern,
video.
What day?
Sorry, go ahead.
Midnight Eastern, what day do you release?
Thursday. Thank you very much for a Friday release.
That's okay. Are you sure it's not Saturday?
It is Thursday night at midnight. In your life, it is Thursday. Right, in the world's life, it is Friday. Right?
Yep.
But you're still up, so it's still Thursday to you. Hey, wait a minute. Let's talk about that. What do you think about that? Because I personally think that it is still the same day until you go to bed or the sun comes up. So even if, let's say tonight, it is a Thursday. Let's say it's a Thursday.
It is a Thursday.
Okay,
so
if I'm up tonight until 4 a.m., it's not Friday at 4 a.m. It's still Thursday night to me. What do you think?
That's fine. The data says otherwise, but you know, man, it's your world. We're all just pancakes flapping around in it.
Okay, but so like if you think that 3 a.m. is
I consider
Friday,
that,
because you've stayed up all night to 3 a.m. and you think that is now 3 a.m. on Friday, and then you go to bed and you wake up at 10 a.m. You've been up on Friday and then taken a nap on Friday.
Pretty much. I'm not saying that I'm saying that it is 3 a.m. on Friday. It's not 3 a.m. Thursday. That's the data. The numbers on that say that. But if I'm up till 2 a.m., I'm up that night until 2 a.m.
Thank you. That
makes sense to me. Yeah.
That's why I say the sun rises when the day starts. I don't take this hierarchy, man. Okay, the patriarchy, it's trying to throw the time on me, man. Like when the sun comes up, that's the new day, man. That's what it is. I'm not anti-meridian, you know what I mean?
I didn't know that was a cult you could join. Can I be anti-meridian?
I don't know. Post-meridian, pre-meridian, anti-meridian, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. Zulu time, by the way.
Zulu time.
Welcome to Australia. So, now, when we release on Thursday night, what do? We already have video ads loaded in Google Ad Manager for YouTube. You can't pull the trigger on that until those ads are live. So you got to be up at 10 o'clock to do that shit. Then you also have ads loaded in Business Manager for Facebook and Instagram, whichever ones work better for you. Your release for Friday starts Thursday night, is what I'm trying to say. And you should be up working it as Europe wakes up. Try to get some Europe love. You should be up. And then when it comes out, when the video goes launch, you should have at least 5 people watching your video, listening to your song on Spotify. And those 5 people might be you.
Yep.
Open up multiple browsers, mobile, incognito, regular, doesn't really matter. This isn't about money. It's about just making sure there's a little bit of action when it comes out.
Yeah.
Because it is sad as fuck when I go to watch a video and it's just me. And the artist isn't there, the manager isn't there, the guitarist isn't there, the drummer isn't there, the singer isn't there, the person who wrote the song isn't there, the person in the video isn't there, the director isn't there, the promotions person isn't there, the PR person isn't there. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you care about your song more than I do? No. I'm there listening. I'm like, I want to chat. I want to ask a question. Well, you can do that in YouTube on the Premiere Chat.
Yep.
So that's your hint. Now your song drops and you want 5 people listening, and it should be your fans, obviously. But if it's not, it can be you. So that is my release checklist in a nutshell. There are, of course, 100 ways to do it well within each of those bullet points. But if you just do this, you're ahead of, I would say, probably 80% of people that release music. If you just do what I just said, or just read the piece of paper if you fast forwarded through that part. And the previous part, you just heard Michael going, YouTube video thumbnail 12.
You're listening at 2 times speed.
Yeah. So that's what you need to do. That's your release checklist.
And there is more that can happen, that should happen.
So much more.
So much more that happens after the song is out, too. There's more stuff as well. But this will get you to 0.
Yeah.
On the chart. It'll get you to baseline, and then after that, there's a whole fuckload of other things. But we're not going to worry about that today because that's another really long conversation.
It is.
And you've already heard enough of us today.
And also, the other reason why we talk about this checklist, this has to do with you releasing to an algorithm. All of these things I just talked about are algorithm points. So they're all algorithm points, including the first few views, including the first few things. You have just separated yourself from the 110,000 songs that came out on Spotify today. Yeah. You've just separated yourself from the millions of videos that came out on YouTube.
That was going to be my next question. I didn't know it was in the millions, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's worldwide and it's global.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's some long form, some short form. Yeah. So that's why you want to do it. So just listen to your Uncle Michael and do it. And your release day starts on Thursday night, you sons of bitches. I want to see you up supporting your music.
Card. Yeah. Be up supporting yourself. Yeah, the fact that it starts the night before, I think, was lost even on me until about 5 years ago. I think that's when we started talking about it. And you're like, "Why the?
What are you doing?"
Doing it. And you're like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, and you're like, "I'm working your shit, asshole." Or at least it was better than when you said that one time, "I'm working your asshole, you shit."
That's right. That's right.
You know,
is this made for kids? No.
No.
So that's what you got to do. Your release day on Friday, global release day starts on Thursday night. All right. I
have a concert on Saturday. What should I release? Should I still release on Friday, or should I release it on Saturday for when I do my CD? Actual questions I got asked in the last 2 weeks.
Jesus Christ. Can I just tell you, every time I hear those kind of questions, I give you the answer, right? I give you the answer. Yeah. Here's the answer. Yeah. And then I get a question. I was like, but what about, well, what if I release it on Sunday? No one's releasing on Sunday. And you know what? I've taken the Keanu Reeves point of view on this. Just go ahead. Do it. I don't care. Like, yeah, you're right. Well, no, I'm just asking. No, you're right. Like, I didn't take all that time to give you the fucking answer for you to ask me a stupid question.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? I just made all this up? You don't think a bunch of hours of work went into me giving you this answer to try to help you in your career, and now you're going to ask me a stupid question about Sunday night? Anyway.
I do enjoy a good rant. You know, old man rant.
I don't want...
Old man.
You know what? For all of you who have listened to this for a while, I don't like to rant. I know that you... I know it doesn't seem like that.
I enjoy the fuck out of it.
No, I know it's performative. I don't really rant as much as I seem to. Well, okay, that's not true. I do. But I don't want
Usually there's nobody in the room.
I want to rant about other things. I don't want to rant about independent musicians that won't pay attention to your own career, that don't understand how things work. And like when someone gives you the answer, you're like, no, I just feel like it maybe should be this way. And it's like, okay, never mind. We're done here.
I have a story about, like, I was in college and one of the band directors was dealing with it was a jazz combo. He was dealing with a troublesome individual who, the director turned to him and he goes, hey, you played an F sharp here and it's actually a G natural. And this student looks at him and goes, are you sure? And he goes, well, let me see. I wrote the fucking thing. So, yeah, I'm sure. It's just like, yeah. I understand the natural tendency to want to question and own a little piece of, get a little piece of authority and a little bit of power in the moment. But, you know, one of the things that is important for success is learning when to accept knowledge and when to reject, that as well. Like if you learn something in your hours of research that renders our opinion null and void, I would like to know about it.
Absolutely.
I would like to have a conversation with you.
Please correct me.
But that's not what's happening here.
No, people try to correct me all the time on Global Release Fridays. And I get it. I get the reason why you think it's a good idea to release music
because
on
everybody's
Monday.
Everybody's releasing on Friday. It makes sense you would want to release it on a day where not everybody's, so you can make more noise. But that's just not the case because why? You're not releasing to people.
That's right. And algorithms are paying attention to chart metric, even though you aren't. And also music supervisors are paying attention on Global Music Friday. There's a lot of reasons why you should release on New Music Friday. And
agreed.
Your little reason of like, well, not everyone's releasing on Monday is not a good enough reason. That is not research. That is you feeling a certain way. Good for you. Feel that way.
Good for you.
Good for you. Nice. Oh, aren't you cute? Release your song on Monday. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're gonna have to put a rage expletive warning.
Listen, the reason why I want everyone to understand the reason why I won't speak for Stu here. The reason why I get so pissed off about it is because I am you. I have been in your position. I have spent my last $5,000 on doing this on a release or whatever, on recording and blah blah blah. I get it. You're trying to find every little way to make it the best. But the problem is that I also am you to where I have failed so many times because I didn't know better. And I'm just telling you, when you get older and you've gone through the wash a few times, you start knowing better. And that's why we're giving you this information. And if you just take it, well, the worst thing that could happen is you'll fail the same way, right? But at least you can blame me for it. All right. Let's get to the sync of the week. I want to hear from you on your sync of the week here. What a wonderful week for music everywhere in the world. My goodness. What you watching, Stu? What was your sync of the week?
So here's a sync. By the way, I'm going to like to close that off with an old man rant over.
It's the old man rant.
It's the old man. I got a bug up my ass to watch an episode of South Park, and so I decided to watch the Dick and Boss hot dog episode from the latest season.
Classic.
Season 26, episode 5. And in the montage of them building out the hot dog stand was Huey Lewis's Working for a Living. An homage to what film? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was an homage to something. Of course it is. I don't remember what it was in before, but I'll whatever later. But the montage with that song was, I mean, number one, that episode is hilarious. But just to have the sounds of Huey Lewis pop up and watching Cartman bounce around and order everyone all over the place while creating a Casa Bonita-like hot dog stand called Dick and Boss Hot Dogs. That was the episode of our gerbs. They're taking our gerbs.
They're taking our gerbs.
And I found again, this is the opposite of my thoughts. Like when you have in Barry, where you have It Must Have Been Love or something playing behind some incredibly tense and more than words playing behind him scowling while walking out with fucking couple of assault rifles on his back. The comedy on screen of that and Huey Lewis over is just perfect blending for me, and it made me very, very happy.
I love how Huey Lewis is still in the popular culture because I'm a huge fan, and I
me too.
Bless the millennials for Back to the Future for that being their touchstone, because that's really why Huey Lewis is still everywhere. And the good thing that like people are realizing about Huey Lewis is like it is damn near unexplainable that Huey Lewis was such a huge star in the 80s.
Yeah, right?
I mean, it's not synth pop. I mean, it's bar band blues.
Yeah.
And he's
very well done bar band blues, for sure.
And I mean, this fit into Jay Giles' band, and they're not still in the culture. I mean, the songs are so good that they stick around.
Yeah.
It is, by the way, in the tribute band community, is an elusive white whale to get a Huey Lewis band together. Especially because they're not playing anymore.
Yeah. I know that our friend Scott Ewell, we've talked about several times, has said we cover a few Huey Lewis songs in various projects we're in together, and he said if that dude ever tours again, I'm fucking going. I love Huey Lewis, and I was playing a festival in the Black Hills many years ago with my friend Corey Brunson, and we got up there a day early, and Huey Lewis was the headliner that night. It might have been one of the last tours he did.
Oh, wow.
And it was fucking it was louder than Satan's balls slapping together. It was so fucking loud because he couldn't hear anything, and he still can't hear anything.
Meniere's disease. Ooh. Rough.
Yeah. But that, like, I don't know if you saw, there was a few photos came out in the last couple of weeks of him at the premiere of the Back to the Future musical.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
great.
Yeah.
It's great. And from all accounts, I've never met him. I met Chris. I met the guitarist. But I never met Huey. And from all accounts, just the sweetest, nicest, realest guy. And, lovely golfer and holding it down for San Francisco.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good golfer.
Anyway, that's a great sync. Look it up, kids. If you've never heard that song, it's still a banger.
Yeah.
It's still a banger. All of them are. But that's a great song.
Yep.
All right, mine is a little bit off the board here. Okay, I've got Women's World Cup fever, buddy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I love Women's World Cup, a little bit of the football. And I'm going to bring up something. We're gonna go ahead and put this link. I'm going to put a few links into whatever we do, especially if you're watching this on YouTube, or go search our YouTube channel for this, because you do need to see this. Basically, this is the Women's World Cup theme song for ITV, which is over in our friends over in the UK.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is a woman that's a producer. She's also an artist, and her name is Lume. It's spelled Lume. And again, you don't have to write this down. Put your pencils down, Kelsey. Anyway, so we will put this in the descriptions. She basically got a brief to write this Women's World Cup theme song for ITV, and it was going to be used for ID spots and stingers for the whole tournament. And I want you, she did a breakdown of actually building this song.
Oh, cool.
Which is what I want you to see. It's only got like 300 views right now. And
what?
But like, it's so amazing. So World Cups always have a song of the World Cup. That is not this. The song is called Do It Again from Benet, featuring Mallrat, which is like New Zealand artist and Australian artist, which is where it's taking place. That normally happens. This is about the coverage on the sports channels that are showing it, all the pregame shows. You guys, you get so much money for doing these. So much money. Okay, so this is how to write for sync. And this is why I wanted to bring this up. So it's a little bit different than just writing your regular song and pitching it out, trying to find the exact right thing for a song you already wrote. You usually get a brief, and then you write it. And I want you to see in this video, first of all, it's 100 tracks for a 30-second song. Okay?
My God.
It mentions the brief. It mentions that the briefs have like soul references in it. And so what does that mean? Well, it's the kind of bass you choose. It's the kind of guitar parts you use. You probably should have some little finger snaps in there. There's little things like that, right? But she breaks down her intro sections, how to space between sections, how to use risers, how to use swells, how to use muting to create motion within the song, how to use taking off filters of vocals as they build in a stack so that the vocal seems to come forward. A lot of mixers will know some of this stuff, but like when you're working on a 30-second track for, writing to a spec or writing to a brief, this is the kind of shit that like you really need to learn if you want to get into this. And she has an amazing breakdown of it. And we're also going to post the video of the finalized copy. But it's amazing, and it will be used for years and years and years. But so her name is Lume, and it's the Women's World Cup 2023 theme song on ITV. And that's my sync of the week.
Does it have a name, or is it just called the Women's World Cup?
It's the theme song for ITV, I think. I think it's the Women's World Cup theme song for ITV. You won't be able to find it. It's different than, like, if you're searching it, you're going to find Do It Again, which is like the theme, which is like the song for the Women's World Cup. But this is why this is sneaky shit, because this is when you write for a network, when you write for an ad agency and they're placing it. This means the network can use it all over the place, and the royalties just cascade. Because they will probably play this track, I would venture. And by the way, Lume, if you're listening to this, we would love to know the details on it. But I would first of all, you get an upfront fee for the master and sync on it. She owns the publishing. There is a little bit of, you may share some of the publishing with the placement agency or with the finalized network. That's not normally the way it works on PRS and ITV and BBC and stuff, but it does work that way in America sometimes. I have a few of those deals where Fox has a piece of something I wrote for them, so every time I make money, they do too. But I mean, it's conceivable, this song across. By the way, ITV is kind of like BBC, so there are multiples: ITV1, ITV2. It is possible this track could be played upwards of 30, 40 times a day over the multiple weeks of the World Cup. And like to a huge audience. That's the other thing. When you're looking at syncs on like royalty bases for like sporting events, the audiences are huge when you're looking at soccer. So this isn't a one-time
worldwide
stinger.
audiences.
It's being used in all the packages every time the show starts, every time they bring up the show, they do the standings. And so and again, she won't see this money for, at least 3 months.
3 to 6 months,
for the next quarter. But it is a fascinating look at just how in-depth one 30-second track can be for writing to sync. So if you think that you're good enough to write that way, and you might be. But I want you to see what it takes. And when I mention it's 100 tracks, I may be undercounting it.
But also, I say, even though there's 100 tracks, submixes are your friend. If your group sends are your friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, don't forget that.
All right.
I'm looking forward to watching that video now. I'm really curious about that.
I'll text it to you.
I love that idea. That'd be awesome.
The rest of the people have to wait.
They have to wait. Well, but I would love to hear from people when they watch it what they get from it. So At 2ShotsMusicPod on all the things. At 2ShotsMusicPod at gmail.com for questions. Leave us a hilarious comment or criticism or rating and all that kind of fun stuff at the iTunes and the Spotify. Is it iTunes still or is it Apple Music now?
Someone told me it was iTunes.
Shit.
I know. I don't know.
But
Apple
I can't type
Podcasts
iTunes
on
into my
iTunes
search thing.
through Apple Music.
I'm confused.
I am too. They don't make
tiring.
it easy. I tell you that much.
How am I doing on the wrap up? Normally you do that.
I know.
So I'm just,
yeah, it was boring as
steamrolling your
fuck.
ass
No, I'm
here.
just kidding.
Yeah, let's never do that again. If you need to know where we are, look at the fucking bottom of the podcast. It'll be right there.
Read something. Follow us. Yell at us. 2 Shots Music Pod. No, you did a great job. That was a great one. Thank you so much.
Yay! I feel like I fucking did something.
All right, y'all. We will talk to you next week. Have a fantastic week and write a great song.
Write some songs. Love you. Bye.